You are listening to the Toxic Mold Podcast with Steve Worsley, the toxic mold expert and your number one source for mold consulting and mitigation in the USA. Let's dive into a brand new episode.
Before we get started on this episode, here's a not-so-short disclaimer. While all attempts have been made to verify the content provided in this podcast, neither the podcaster nor the producers assume any responsibility for errors, omissions, or alternative interpretations of the issues discussed here. All information stated in this podcast is the opinion of Steve Worsley. Steve Worsley is a mold specialist with over 25 years of experience in the construction and mold industry. The Toxic Mold Podcast is for information sharing purposes only. The views expressed are those of the podcaster and his alone. These views should not be taken as expert instruction or commands. While there may be references to medical conditions and symptoms, all podcast episodes are the opinion of Steve Worsley, and any medical questions or concerns shall be addressed with the appropriate licensed medical professional or professionals. As the podcaster refers to different mold types, please be aware that Steve Worsley is not a microbiologist, and questions concerning mold specifics should be answered by the appropriate professional. Steve isn't, nor does he offer any legal advice. For any legal advice, you must speak to a lawyer. The listener is 100% responsible for his or her own actions. You can check out Steve's books on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and search for author Steve Worsley. You can also take Steve's mold education courses, such as Mold 101 and the Mycotoxin Prevention Kit, by going to cnccontractorservices.com. Again, check out his mold education courses at cnccontractorservices.com. Now, let's get to the episode.
Hello, you're listening to the Toxic Mold Podcast with myself, Steve Worsley, and we have my wife, Cassandra. It's time for our fall checklist.
It is. It's that time again.
I think every year we recorded at a different time, but anyhow, for our listeners, it's obviously fall time, so it's probably a good time to go over the list, huh?
Absolutely, especially before it gets snowy and cold and people will not want to do the outside part of it.
Well, snow's already happened, but
that's true in some places.
It's just not going to stick around very long, I don't think, but I guess we shall see.
Yeah.
So when you think about the fall checklist, I know you have a husband that can do all this stuff, but for our listeners, is it something that would stress you out, or if you had to do it?
It could completely stress me out if I had to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for most people who are not handy, anything that you have to do to your home, outside or inside, is a stressful thing to contemplate figuring out how to do.
Well, you don't really have to be handy. It's just an inspection. You're not fixing anything.
Well, but I think you have to realize some people don't even know how to blow out their lines when it gets time for winter. So,
their sprinkler lines. Yeah, that's one of the things on our list. Well, even for us, we have other people do it.
Exactly. So I think, when people start to think about fall, they're not really thinking about, let me check how my house is. They're thinking about, are we getting Halloween decorations out? Are we getting Thanksgiving prep? Are we getting snow shovels? They're not really thinking care for their home.
Yeah. Well, and, for our listeners, for the most part, most people all summer try to spend time outside. So now they're starting to spend time inside, and this is typically when most people are going to be exposed to mold.
Absolutely. And this is also, a good time to really figure out if you have any moisture intrusion issues that maybe you didn't know about before you get into the thick of winter and you have the possibility of frozen pipes.
Yep, that's true. So, and I see on Facebook, there's, different types of companies, HVAC companies, mold companies that kind of do checklists. So for our listeners, this is just going to be a little bit more in depth, but I kind of go through this like I would an inspection. So I always start with the outside. And for our listeners, the reason we start an inspection on the outside is, let's just say I see defective grading and drainage. If it's a basement, then I'm going to pay attention to that area of the basement, make sure there's no water stains or anything like that.
Correct.
Like on the roof, if I see missing shingles, then when I'm in the attic, I'm going to really pay attention to that. For our listeners, I don't expect you to be a home inspector for this, but for your roof, the key things that I would be looking for: missing shingles, debris on the roof. So let's say you live around trees, Make sure you don't have tree branches or like a tree that's leaning almost like it's going to break onto your roof.
So that leads me to a different question then, because I'm just thinking like somebody who is not handy or who's never done a fall checklist before. There are two questions that would come up for me. Number one, how long is this going to take to do the whole thing? And number two, what equipment do I need before I start the checklist?
Well, I think for this, like I said, this isn't a DIY home inspection. It's more like a checklist. So having a flashlight would be great. Having a humidity gauge would be great, but I don't expect our listeners to have all that. This is kind of more of a visual checklist.
So do they have to get up on a ladder and to get to the roof, or they're just looking at the roof from the ground?
It would be best to get on the roof, but if you are afraid of it, I would assume you probably don't even want to put a ladder up there. You can use binoculars.
Okay, that's good to know.
I would assume, I would assume a good majority of our listeners probably have binoculars.
Okay.
Don't you think?
I don't know, but it's good to know, hey, you probably need a flashlight for this. You might need a ladder or binoculars.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't our iPhones, can't you zoom in?
You can, yeah. So they could use their phone. That's good.
So, but anyhow, look for missing shingles.
Mm-hmm.
Check the rain gutters. For the most part, if you're not going to crawl up on the roof, you can't really inspect the rain gutters.
How do you check the rain gutters?
Well, I, as an inspector, check it from the roof, and I look at the rain gutter and see if there's any debris or standing water in it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you would have to be on the roof then.
No, you could, for our listeners, if there's a rainstorm, it's obviously not going to just rain when you go to do this checklist. But you can go outside, take an umbrella, put a poncho on, whatever you want to do, but go look at your downspouts. So that's where it comes down the house and then comes to where there should be extensions. Just make sure water's running out of it because it's raining. And then you can look up at the rain gutters and see if they're leaking.
Okay.
And you can tell, for our listeners, you could tell if rain gutters are leaking. Chronic leaks are going to discolor the rain gutter. Probably start to rust out.
Okay.
Key things on the roof, check for missing shingles, any debris up there. If you have like chimneys, wood burning fireplace, stuff like that, just check that stuff and make sure everything looks good. It's not leaning or things like that.
Okay.
For our listeners, I don't expect you to get up on the roof, but it is something, maybe they can get their spouse to do it or neighbor kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
something.
know if I put a kid up on a roof, but when I say kid, for us, kids are in their 20s.
Exactly.
Anyhow, then the next thing with the exterior, just walk around the house, look at your siding, make sure everything looks good, sealed up, nothing's missing. If you have brick, make sure all the grout looks good, there's not big cracking. Check your grading and drainage. Grading should slope away from the home for a minimum of 6 feet.
Okay.
If you have sump pumps, check your sump pumps, test them. Because sometimes people have sump pumps in the outside in the corner, it just goes to a sump pit. Some people have sump pumps that are inside in the basement or the crawl space.
Okay.
But grab, you can get a bucket of water, you can get one of them little watering thingies we use for the tree.
Mm-hmm. Like the elephant thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't even know what it's called. But a thing you can put water in, you can pour that in there. It would activate the sump pump itself, make sure it's pumping out. There's no leaks in the discharge pipe. Check all your windows, make sure they're not cracked. You can check the silicone around the windows. You can check all the doors, make sure the doors, all the trim around it looks good. Take your hose bibs that are attached to the spigot, however you want to pronounce it. I say it that way, ironically. I saw something on Facebook the other day, and somebody said it the wrong way, and everybody was trying to correct that person.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter. Our listeners know what I'm talking about. Make sure you unhook that hose, because if it freezes up, it's going to cause major issues. If you have sprinklers, make sure you blow out your sprinklers. If you have, some people have this, some won't, but if you have heat tape up on your roof or on plumbing fixtures, make sure you plug those in.
Okay. And what about equipment like your lawnmower, weed eaters?
Well, all that stuff, hopefully you're done using those. So if you're going to put, a stabilizer in the fuel, you can do that.
Okay.
I would assume most of our listeners, they have someone that probably does that or they do it themselves.
Okay.
So make sure you put all that stuff away.
Yep.
That's pretty simple, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
But I think what I just went over, I think I could go outside and do that in 10 minutes.
Yes, because you do it over and over again and you're used to it. I think for
Right.
some people who've never done it before, they're like, oh, wow, that's very detail oriented.
Well, like I said, I'm not telling our listeners to do an inspection. They're just kind of going around, making sure there's nothing that's going to lead
Okay.
to moisture intrusion, and then that leads to mold.
Yes.
So then the next thing I do is either go up in your attic or go down in the crawl space.
Okay. Which would you say to do first?
I personally would do the crawl space first.
Why?
Just because. That's just the...
Snakes and mice and
Well, this time of
bugs
year
down
there
there.
shouldn't be.
Oh.
I mean, there could be. And who knows? I mean, some of our listeners are probably like, oh, Steve doesn't know what he's talking about. This is when all the rabbits or pests come into the crawl space. I don't know. I know in Utah and Wyoming it's cold enough that we don't have a whole lot of snakes. But
No.
I think do snakes hibernate?
I think they do in dens
Yeah.
underneath the ground.
I
That
don't know.
sounds like a crawl space would be perfect for them.
This isn't a snake podcast,
No,
so I'm not
it's not.
expected to know
But
that.
again, go to the crawl space because and when they're in the crawl space, obviously they need a flashlight, right?
Probably, yeah.
And should they wear any protective gear?
I mean, you could.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, there are so many variations of crawl spaces. There's some that are like army crawl,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't like those. There's some that are usually it's a 4-foot foundation, so you can almost like walk around hunched down.
Wow.
So the reason you asking about a flashlight, like I've been in crawl spaces that have lights in them, so you just turn on the light switch.
Interesting. So then when they're in the crawl space, what are they looking for?
So, like I said, all crawl spaces are different, but if there is a sump pump, check your sump pump. Make sure, and there should be a vapor barrier on the floor. It's plastic sheeting. I'm not going to get into how thick all that stuff is, but make sure all the seams are taped. Make sure everything's intact. Check the vapor barrier to see if there's any water standing on it.
Okay.
Because if you, let's just say a bathroom above it, the sink is leaking, you would see the water.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Like when I did home inspections, I would actually, so I'd do the outside first, then I would go inside and I would actually turn on the different plumbing fixtures and let
Okay.
them run for a little while.
Okay.
And the purpose behind that's just so you could see if there's an active leak.
Interesting.
Check for pests. Make sure the vapor barrier all looks good. If you have vents that are for ventilation, make sure, and most people are going to close them, but make sure they are open so you have proper ventilation. If you have an ERV system, which is energy recovery ventilator or ventilation, make sure everything looks good on that. Check all of your duct work. If you have duct work for your HVAC system, make sure everything looks good. Check the subfloor, so you'll be looking up. Check the subfloor, make sure there's no water damage. Pretty simple, right?
So if they do find something like mice droppings, is that something that needs to be handled?
Absolutely, yeah. I would just put, mouse traps
Okay.
down there.
That makes sense.
I know some people would be like, oh, that's just normal, but, if you let something like that go, the mice are going to start chewing on electrical wires, insulation. Mice are very destructive,
Yes.
as we know.
Yes. Very.
I think for the crawl space, I think I covered everything.
Yep. So then would they then go from the outside to the crawl space then to the attic?
Yep, they can do it if our listener wants to start in the attic, they can do this however they want. I'm just explaining how I do it. So up in the attic, crucial things to be looking for up there. Make sure there's proper ventilation. Check for water stains on the wood. Check for mice droppings or any pests. Make sure like the ducts for your bathroom exhaust fans, make sure that they terminate outside of the attic. Check for any mold. Discoloration on insulation typically makes the insulation like a darker color. So you can kind of spot that pretty easily. I think that's about it up there.
Okay.
If they have duct work, I know like in Florida, a lot of my clients, their HVAC system is in the attic, which I'm not a big fan of. You can turn it on. You just turn it on heat and check and make sure all the ductwork is intact. There's no separations or anything like that.
Okay.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud.
Okay, now that we covered the attic, we would start in the living areas. I typically would just start with your mechanical room, which, depending once again on your layout, should have your water heater, your HVAC system. If you have internet and all that, they probably have all that stuff in there. Check that area for any discoloration, water leaks. Make sure you check your water heater. Look at the bottom of the water heater. If it's a tank, make sure there's no rust at the bottom.
Okay.
When water heaters start to go out at the end of their design life, which a water heater is only designed to last like 7 years. Some will fail sooner. I've seen water heaters that are 20, 30 years old.
Wow.
just kind of crazy. But make sure on your water heater there's no leaks, rusting at the bottom. Check all the water connections. Make sure there's not calcification. You should have a drip pan at the bottom of it. So it's just this little round pan.
Okay.
For your furnace, make sure, for all you listeners, this is really important because mold issues, obviously, if it's in your HVAC system, could be pretty major. Make sure you call, and I know we've talked about this before, it used to be the gas company you could call, so like Rocky Mountain Gas, I don't even know what it's called these days, but they'll usually do an inspection for like $100, have it serviced.
Okay.
Someone that knows what they're doing, have them come look at it, because the last thing you want is your furnace not working in the middle of the winter.
Exactly.
Which would freeze up the pipes and anyhow.
Cause lots of problems.
Yeah, so also make sure you change out the air filter for the air handler.
Yes, so it's not clogged.
Those should be changed every 3 months.
Okay.
So just for our listeners. So that covers the mechanical room. Now for the rest of the house, it's pretty simple. Everywhere where there's a plumbing fixture, so bathroom, kitchen, turn on your sinks for a little bit, let it run, check underneath, make sure there's no leaks. Walk around the house, make sure that, like in the bathrooms or all the rooms, check for cracking. Hopefully in your bathrooms you have humidity gauges. Make sure you change the batteries out, which reminds me, change and test the smoke detectors.
And CO detectors, right? Because
Yeah.
they're not the same. Or are there any CO detector, smoke detector combos?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there
absolutely.
are.
Yeah, most of them are these
okay.
days. So
Oh.
in older homes, they are separate.
Okay.
But yeah, make sure you test those and change out the batteries. I don't know what else you'd really change batteries out on. For us, like
Clocks?
humidity gauges. Yeah, clocks.
Just because might as well.
Yeah, exactly. But, going back to what I'd be looking for, like on the walls and stuff like that, check for water stains, check for cracking. If it's a crack that's always been there, it doesn't get any bigger, just note it and be like, okay, this is what it always looks like.
Okay.
But if you start seeing, cracks that get bigger every year, there's a moisture problem that's leading to that. And as we know, moisture leads to mold.
Exactly.
I think I covered most of the stuff inside. You have anything if you have a fireplace, make sure you get your chimney swept
Yes.
or swept.
Yes.
How would that be worded?
Chimney swept.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. But what about, I guess, when you're thinking about children and bedrooms, are there specific things when you're reviewing bedrooms you should be looking at or for?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you have a teenager, they probably have something underneath the bed that they was eating a month ago that it's probably growing mold. I suppose with little ones, sippy cups, stuff like that. Look for that kind of stuff. As far as children, though, make sure every bedroom does have a smoke detector.
Okay.
Go over your fire escape plan with your family or the occupants of the home.
What about you have this little gadget where you can see like cat urine stains on walls and you can't see it without your gadget?
Oh,
should people be concerned about
UV light.
Yes, about your gadget?
Well, if you have pets, obviously, I'm sure all our listeners know pets like to urinate, especially as puppies or dogs as puppies, or even cats. Some of the worst I've seen is cats, actually.
Because they're marking their territory,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
But I use it's a UV light.
Okay.
And so it'll pick up, water stains, urine stains. It picks up a lot more than you want to see, actually. Like if you took a UV light into a hotel room, you'd probably see and that's what they use on crime scenes to see, blood and stuff like that. But that is a handy thing to have. The one I have, I think it's called a UV Beast. It's not that expensive, like $100 maybe. But
because I'm just thinking if you have cats urinating in your home or dogs urinating, you'd want to know because that moisture could feed and help create mold.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and there's nothing worse for us when we have to go in and do mold remediation, and then on top of that, it's sad how often we do find it, but we start tearing out carpets and it's full of pet urine and it's nasty.
Very.
It's just
so really people should be, if they can, looking for those things too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure our listeners understand and know their pets, and maybe they don't. I mean, who knows? You could look underneath one of your children's bed, and you have a dog that likes to go under there and pee. Like,
exactly.
You just never know.
Yeah.
So, but I think we covered most of everything. I'll finish it up with this. There are things that we always recommend. So I guess my call to action would be, routine inspections, routine mold testing, Get humidity gauges if you don't have them. There's all sorts of preventative things that we talk about. We have a list on the website, but, make sure if you're listening, go out and just do one of those things. So let's just say it's humidity gauges. Go out and buy a few humidity gauges. Where you put them in your home, I would suggest rooms that have plumbing sources. So mechanical room, laundry room, bathrooms, kitchen. It should stay below 60%.
Humidity.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
so once it's over 60%, that's when mold can colonize and start reproducing. If we can keep it below that, then we're good.
There you go.
So, like I always say, clear as mud, right?
Clear as mud.
All right. Well, we appreciate all you listeners. Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Are you ready to take control of your environment and protect yourself from harmful mycotoxins? If you said yes to that, check out the Mycotoxin Prevention Kit. This easy-to-follow digital program is delivered straight to your inbox, guiding you through simple steps to reduce your exposure to the harmful byproduct of toxic mold, helping you feel safer and healthier at home. The Mycotoxin Prevention Kit gives you loads of education on mycotoxins for a really affordable price. Get started today by visiting cnccontractorservices.com/mycotoxin prevention kit. That's cnccontractorservices.com/mycotoxin prevention kit.